afternoon everybody. The purpose of this video is to bring you up to date with the legal issues that KWGS are currently dealing with, and there are several of them, so let me go through them one at a time. The first is what I'm going to call the Judicial Review application. So you may recall that last year the Long River Development Corporation, which is the owner of the golf course, decided that they would make a resource consent application, which was the first step in respect to developing the golf course for housing. Now, we obviously objected to that, and it finally went to an independent commissioner appointed by the Auckland City Council, and that independent commissioner identified that the application by Long River had to be notified, publicly notified. So that means that anybody with an interest in the resource consent application would have an opportunity to make comment and to appear before the commissioners. So that happened, but Long River then decided that after the council had notified the application that they would do nothing, and they did nothing until the 25th of September this year, when they filed what is called a judicial review. And the purpose of that review is to try and overturn the council's decision with respect to notifying the application. So their view is that the application did not need to be notified, and that consequently there would be no possibility for anybody to object to any of the things that they were proposing to do. Now, that judicial review has been filed. We've seen a statement of claim. The statement of claim is what I would call pretty much a boilerplate statement of claim. I don't believe that there is anything of any great significance there that we need worry about. The underlying issue is that when the council first heard about this, and when they decided that it needed to go through their planning officer, the planning officer recommended that it not be notified. Now, the independent commissioner, who was the final arbiter of this, decided that it should be notified, and both of them wrote long legal opinions on that issue. The key issue, and there were a number of ones, but this is the one that I'll focus on, the key issue was that the commissioner found that there were special circumstances, and under the Resource Management Act, if there are special circumstances, then any resource consent application must be notified and allow public submissions. The internal planning officer at the council had previously found that there were no special circumstances and that it did not need to be notified. So the Long River Development Corporation have decided that they wish to argue the case before a judge. However, the application, as I said before, is pretty much a boilerplate one, and neither myself nor our planning nor legal advisors find that there is really any merit in what they are saying. So we're not that worried, but with any court application, you will be aware that you can never be 100% certain. So of course we will now be working to ensure that our KWGS interests are properly represented at that court hearing to the extent that it's necessary to do so. Now, that application won't be heard probably until mid next year, but we don't know what the date is at this stage. But the council, of course, is going to defend their decision to notify, and we will, of course, support the council with respect to that. So that's the situation with respect to the Long River Judicial Review application. The second one I'm going to talk about is the GHCC liquidation application. Now, you'll recall that what happened was GHCC golf club members assigned, or not all of them, but many of them assigned their debt, in other words for fees that were due reimbursement, to KWGS. And KWGS then consolidated those fee reimbursement claims and made an application to liquidate GHCC 2016. That liquidation application went into the court, all the necessary advertising was done, and we now have a hearing date of the 29th of November of this year. At the same time as that hearing will proceed, we will seek to appoint a liquidator, and that liquidator will then have the ability to investigate the affairs of GHCC 2016. Any other creditors, other than the golf club members who already have submitted their claims, will be able to approach the liquidator and file their claims once the liquidator has been appointed. We think that the total claims will be in the vicinity of $250,000, possibly more. Now, you'll recall that the members that did file claims went through the disputes tribunal, and in every single case that the disputes tribunal heard, they found in favour of the golf club members. In 2 of those cases, the sole director of GHCC 2016, Wayne Bailey, was also found personally liable. So in due course, we expect that the liquidator will follow up in terms of pursuing Mr. Bailey personally. And that of course will be an interesting exercise, because Mr. Bailey at the moment is resident in Australia, but fortunately New Zealand and Australia have a mutual agreement whereby judgments in either country can be enforced in the other country. So that's progressing. The third issue came out of left field, and it involves an advice by the Companies Office, or a notice by the Companies Office, to strike off a whole number of companies that are related to Wayne Bailey, who, as you recall, is the sole director of Gulf Harbour GHCC 2016 and Gulf Harbour Equipment Limited. Now, they did that because the information that they required with respect to the address for service was not supplied, and so when they requested that it be supplied, those 2 companies, amongst others, failed to respond, and so therefore there was a notice to strike them off the company register. Now, the problem is that once a company is struck off, it's deemed almost not to exist, and the assets of the company are transferred to the Crown. And it makes it more difficult for example, KWGS to bring an application to liquidate the company. Not impossible, but it makes it difficult. So what we have done is we have objected to that strike off, and we filed those with the Companies Office, and you can almost guarantee that that strike off will in fact be put in abeyance for up to 12 months, which is the usual course of action in those sort of circumstances. And of course, our liquidation application, being heard on the 29th of November this year, will now fall within that 12-month period. So I'm not expecting that a huge problem will occur because of that, but it's just something that we all needed to be aware of.
Since recording this video, Chris has received confirmation from the Registrar of Companies that the objection to the removal of GHCC 2016 has been accepted.
So those are the 3 key items that I wanted to bring to your attention, just so as you're all up to speed with that. I would like to raise, however, the issue of costs. Now, obviously, all of this costs a fair amount of money. Your committee members are all doing everything on a pro bono basis, and so none of us charge any fees for what we're doing. But of course, we do have to pay fees to our professionals, our barristers, solicitors, planning officers, etc. So it's very important, if you want us to succeed in continuing the good fight, that you help us to contribute by contributing financially to the fund. And we're aware, of course, that not everybody has the wherewithal these days, but every little bit helps. So we're asking that you can start again to think about donating to the, I'm going to call it the legal fund, but it's broader than that. It involves a whole lot of other professionals as well. So that would be much appreciated. I'd also like to give a shout out to a whole range of people, and I won't be able to name all of them, but you will have seen what's happening on the golf course at the moment. It's really significant that all of that is being done with volunteer labour. It's just been outstanding what people have done. And I hope that everybody will appreciate that a lot of these businesses that have assisted us have done so on the basis that they're providing not only their machinery and equipment, but some of their own labour at their cost as well. So we need to support those businesses. Those companies and people that have been supporting us and really contributing have been Ash at Mowers and More at Silverdale. So they do barbecue equipment as well. So if you are wanting any mower advice, barbecue advice, anything outdoorsy, then please go and talk to Ash at Mowers and More at Silverdale. The second person is Jaden, whose firm is Landscaping for You on the peninsula. He has been very, very helpful in terms of supplying landscaping services, and you'll see that the bunkers are currently being refurbed. He's being responsible for that. So again, big shout out to Jaden. And of course I should also mention Sean at the kitchen door down at the Marina office area. He's been donating proceeds from his sale of pies. So if you're feeling hungry, please go down and buy a pie or two or three or four from Sean down there. That's about it. So thank you very much for your time. And when there's more news, we will communicate that with you in due course. Thank you.